Hey everybody, we are fighting the battle against Cablevision, who hires bad people like Christine Savarino and Cecilia Mastrovilli, to hires them and pays them to break the law. So Savarino chased away Glendora's sponsor. First of all, Cablevision doesn't have any statutory authority to require a sponsor in a local area. If I come to your town, I want to stand up in the park and speak to you and communicate with you and you with me. Do I have to be sponsored? No. And public access is a public forum. Congress called us an electronic soapbox. And so Savarino keeps taking the program off the TV, keeps chasing away signers. So she got sued for $5,000. The liar for hire is Walter Sarrock. The liar for hire law firm is Sadley, Stevens, Burke & Burke. It's in the Yonkers City Court. The judge is Charles D. Wood. In Glendora, we had a trial, and Savarino was too guilty to show, and so she couldn't refute the facts that I presented to the court. She couldn't refute them. She wasn't there to do it. A lawyer is no substitute. There's something wrong with the courts and the law that they don't make the lead defendant appear and testify. So the judge said, go home and send me receipts and evidence. I sent 360 pages. That was on November 8th. The judge told Sarrock that he had a chance to refute them. Well, he didn't refute it. In his page-and-a-half letter, which is not a grown-up legal paper, is hardly a match for the 360 pages of receipts and evidence. So I've read this on the previous program. If your cable TV station carries a chat with Glendora for 2 hours, some cable TV stations carry it for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hours. Or you can see it on the internet at youtube.com/The Chat with Glendora, one word. Well, Sarrock says, Glendora did not provide any evidence in support of her claims. This is what, line number 15? In just a page-and-a-half. Well, Glendora provided only 40 or so letters by Savarino in her own hand, that she telephoned the signers and they disappeared, that Glendora had to get new signers, and that prima facie this cost miles and gasoline and hours and ergs. That is, damages, as per Glendora's ad damnum, submitted to this court in her cross motion to deny dismiss on the 2nd week of July, year 2006. A light to bring revelation is that Glendora's November 8th blast was of such magnitude that Sarrock, Savarino either had to succumb or had to lie. So which did they choose? They chose what they have chosen for 3/4 of a year. That's an interesting series of words. Alternative, choice, option, election, preference. And an alternative is a choice between two things. Choice is without compulsion, choosing between two or many things. Without compulsion, choice. Isn't that a wonderful thing? An option stresses the liberty of choice. Isn't that a great thing? The liberty of choice. An election emphasizes the element of freedom of choice. Great thing, isn't it? And preference is desire or predilection in the act of making a choice. Aren't those wonderful words? Ta. Sarok says, as a result, defendant's post-trial motion to dismiss Glendora's claims should be granted, and I crossed out granted and put in denied, and her case should be dismissed, and I crossed out dismissed, and put in granted. Are you at loose ends? Huh? Are you at loose ends? Did you have a nice run today? We went for a walk, didn't we? She's the cutest kitten when she goes for a walk. And then she runs the fastest kitty in the world. Yes, you pretty girl. Let me show you where I crossed out. We're up to page 23. Glendora asks, what post-trial motion? This was not a motion. This was a puerile letter. It has no standing as a motion. If you're going to write a motion, you have to write a notice of motion. You have to write the motion, and you have to write an affidavit or an affirmation in support. What did he write? A letter. And the next paragraph is upsilon. That's the way Sarok pronounced upsilon in court. Now here is his signature. What would you expect to come out of a mind that is that garbled, confused, sprawled, crawled? How could you expect anything to come out of a mind like that? That would be clear and pellucid and understandable and comprehensible. And he did not serve all parties. He was supposed to serve Jill DeCrenza, and he's supposed to serve Officer Lewis. Fee. Forget not, court, that all of Sarok, Savarino, Sulaco era, delay, misinformation, misunderstanding, false starts, violations of Small Claims Act, and the ambush. Forget that not, court. A small claims case is supposed to take a couple of weeks. This one started sometime in February, and here it is November. For it's a long, long time, from June to November. Pellucidly delineates in the record June the 7th, saying that the same case was pending in White Plains. That caused 2 months delay. It was not the same case pending in White Plains. And Duran ruled that it wasn't. The cases have to have identity of names. This was Glendora versus Cecilia Masterilli in White Plains. It was Glendora versus Christine Savarino in Yonkers. All right, violation of New York State civil practice laws and rules, section 3211 7A, states no claim upon which relief can be granted. How long did that take? For blockhead Sarok to be told by 2 judges, you can't use that in White Plains. You can't use that in small claims. And small claims forbids summary judgment. A Park Avenue lawyer ought to know that you can't have a summary judgment in a small claims case. As Judge Arthur J. Duran III said, the judge has to hear the evidence. The parties have to have the opportunity to examine one another. There has to be a trial. And he tried to get this case dismissed on the papers submitted. That is not small claims. You don't submit papers and then the judge makes a ruling. You have a trial. These are all the delays that Sarok caused. And this is why Sarok should be sanctioned and pay $10,000 in a little Yonkers City Court. The lead defendant, Christine Savarino, was not there to refute facts that Glendora got signers, that Savarino called them, that the signers disappeared. We have that in her letter by her own hands. 40 letters, that Glendora got new signers, and prima facie that cost Ergs dollars and hours. Doran III, October the 12th, denied all the relief sought by the June 27th motion to dismiss by Sawrock. He denied the dismissal. He denied that you could use, does not state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Doran denied no summary judgment, or rather denied a summary judgment. He denied pending action, and he denied censuring Glendora for filing in Yonkers Court in the future. Nobody could fall more flat on his face in a court than Sawrock did in that. Except the White Plains, his motion to vacate the judgment that I got against Cecilia for $5,000, that fell flat on his face. So did the second motion. Justice Sawrock's two motions to vacate the $5,000 judgment Glendora so justly awarded in White Plains fell flatly on their faces. So did Sawrock's motion to dismiss fall flatly on its face in Yonkers. December the 6th, 06, is an oral argument on the White Plains case mentioned in the previous paragraph. Sawrock appealed it. They only appealed it to delay the paying of the $5,000 judgment that I got against Cecilia. They only made that motion to vacate for that reason. They only made the second motion to vacate for that reason, and they appealed it for that reason, just to stall paying the $5,000. And this is a Park Avenue lawyer, and this is a what? A $3 billion corporation? Patently, all three steps were nothing but dodges to eschew paying the $5,000, and it is pitifully penurious. Also, in December, in the White Plains Supreme Court is the oral argument against Ecock, Phillipstown. Toman is another one who doesn't understand small claims and who violated a stack of laws. Stephen G. Toman in Phillipstown. So the oral argument on that, I appealed that, is also December 6th in White Plains. And January 4th in the year 2007, Glendora's protege argues against Cablevision in the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in Manhattan. Kelly Bernass versus Cablevision for violations of public access. And on January the 24th, the year 07, is the trial for Glendora versus Sadley, Stevens, Birkenberg, Sawrock, and Cecilia for costing Glendora $5,000 damages with their stupids in the White Plains City Court in Glendora versus Cecilia. Phony, bad faith, litigation to delay paying Glendora the $5,000 judgment Glendora won against Cecilia in White Plains City Court. And that is being held in White Plains on January the 24th at 4:30 p.m. or thereafter. All are invited. Everybody is invited. Come. Sign. Who paid for the minuscule letter by Sawrock? Maybe nobody. Maybe that is why it is 1.5 pages instead of a grown-up legal paper. And Glendora and the court have a right to know who paid, how much, and when. Now do not cite to me lawyer-client relationship. That is not a law. That is not a statute. It has no statutory authority. Callagee paid the $5,000 undertaking in the White Plains City Court when he appealed the judgment that Glendora got there. And Sawrock is Callaghan's underling at Satterley. Now, who will pay the $5,040 in Yonkers Court if Glendora gets justice? Sawrock's reply to Glendora's 360 pages, 96 hours, and $138 was so truncated that he forgot to mention censoring Glendora from bringing any more cases in the Yonkers City Court. All these Yonkers Court papers have been read or summarized on Channel 18 Yonkers Cablevision, 10:30 p.m. Thursdays, for months. Now we go to Jot Thought. Emerald Restaurant is a legitimate receipt. It, along with $100 driver and $10 gasoline and $5 breakfast, were damages caused by Savarino. Savarino got out of her fiasco of sending Glendora's Wappinger tapes to Harrison by extorting Glendora's Harrison signer to pick them up. There were no Wappingers. There were, rather, 100 Wappingers tapes that Savarino knew she would be sued for messing up return of them. And she was sued in Rye Court for not returning 53 tapes in Westchester. That was in 2002. So Savarino, Little Savage in Italian, coerced Harrison Signer into picking up the Wappingers tapes by simultaneously picking up the Harrison Portchester tapes, which had been peacefully and perfectly returned to Glendora for 3 years by somebody else. You see how she covered up herself? Dumb, dumb, dumb. She has 100 Glendora tapes sent from Wappingers down to Harrison. Why? If she'd left him in Wappingers, my signer in Wappingers could have picked him up. But she made such a dumb thing that she's covering up by calling my Harrison signer and telling him to come over and pick up the Wappingers tapes. By telling him to pick up the New Rochelle Harrison tapes. And Savarino in evil had to upset that nice relationship, the same evil exuded in the 40 letters of Volume 1, Glendora, November 8th paper. So isn't it time Yonkers Court ended this Savarino savagery? What is the noun for that? Maybe there isn't one. Savarino savage. Glendora has been damaged more than enough. We're on page 28. Who are we? Sawrock says we represent Christine Savarino and Taibat Salaka. Who are we? The letter is signed by him. Who is we? Who are we? Sawrock and Sadley? Sawrock and Callaghan? Sawrock and Cablevision? The court and Glendora have a right to know the truth. What is Sawrock's relation to Sadley? Is he a volunteer? Is he an intern? Is he an amanuensis? Is he of counsel? Is he independent contractor? A gopher? Well, Martindale Hubble, and that's not a telescope, it's a book listing the names of liars and their education, so-called, or lack thereof. Anyway, Martindale Hubble says that Sawrock was admitted to the bar in 1996 in New York, New York. And it says a notice, or Glendora says notice, that he was admitted to the bar, but he doesn't have a license from the state of New York. No lawyer does. And he did something in New Jersey in 1998. And he has a bachelor's from Dartmouth College, which is the country club of New England. And he graduated from, or was graduated from the Notre Dame Law School in 1995. When Notre Dame went co-ed, The headline in the college newspaper was, what was it? It's a fact, men. Notre has gone dame. And he was an articles editor for the Journal of College and University Law. And he's the author of Note, Protecting the Students, Critique of the Procedural Practices Afforded to English and American Students in University Disciplinary Hearings. His email is wsarok@sscb, that's sadly Stevens, Burke and Burke.com. His practice area is commercial litigation. What's a guy like that doing in small claims court? Things must be tough, huh? And he ends up in small claims court. And after all that, in Martindale Hubble, he sinks to an obfuscator, and it cost him $5,020 in White Plains small claims. And in Yonkers, unable to refute the facts, Glendora got signers. Savarino telephoned them, as Savarino wrote by her own hand in her letters, and the signers disappeared, and Glendora got new signers, and this obviously cost money. Hours and ergs. And Savarino is still harassing the signers. Glendora is on Comcast, she's on Time Warner and Charter. These are the big guys. Cablevision is just a little run. And they do not do what Savarino did and does. Glendora's receipts and evidence of 360 pages, she forgot to send volume 3 to the court. She discovered it when I was reading it to you on television. Remember that? So I got it down there. I hope what to do. I know what to do if I don't get justice. I'll appeal and I'll sue the judge. She is not scared. Pages are affectionate, they are stuck on each other. She's not scared. Sarok is Brogdonagnium in Lilliputian. Did you ever read Gulliver's Travels? Everything Sarok tells the court is hearsay. He was not there when it happened. He is a latecomer. Glendora was there and tells the court the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God. She likes it that way, and this is under penalty of perjury. Sarok is not under oath, penalty of perjury, and has chalked up circa 300 misrepresentations, New York State analog to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 11, sanctions. For lying, for covering up, for misrepresentation. United States Code, it's Criminal Code, Section 1001. Sarok is not qualified, he's not familiar with the facts and circs. Some people lie so promiscuously, folks, until they lose not only their own credibility, but their own credulity. They've lost the ability to believe anybody else. They can't believe that some people are still extant who tell the truth. Maybe it will require Judge number 3 to teach Sarok, CPLR, Civil Practice Laws and Rules, New York State, Section 3211, 7A, that it does not apply in small claims court, does not state a claim upon which relief can be granted. That there are resources, June the 7th, when we first appeared in court, to the end of this case, and that Glendora be granted all of the relief stated in her small claims application, and in her cross motion, and in her SOR reply of August the 16th, and her 360-page receipts and evidence of November the 8th. This is dated Thanksgiving Eve. That was last night. 2006, Anno Domini, the County of Columbia, the State of New York. Yours in truth, in Amor Patriae, in Amor New Yorki, love of one's country and love of New York. And in love of public access TV, the only free press TV left in America. Folks, you hear what the big corporations want you to hear. You don't hear what they don't want you to hear. Get smart. And without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1, 207. This is Opus 1444. It took 12 hours. It cost $21.28 to print. The internet number is circa 4,477. That's 4,477 public access shows. It only took 34 years to do that. It's on www.youtube.com/A Chat with Glendora, one word. The mailing list, you know, I showed you the envelopes. This is 38 pages. And this again recaps the errors of SAROC, no summary judgment in small claims. There's no decided on papers submitted in small claims, that the litigants have to have the opportunity to examine each other, that the judge has to hear the evidence, that there was no pending action in the White Plains Court, that the names have to be identical, that it is too soon to tell whether Glendora should be barred from filing any more lawsuits in Yonkers City Court. If anybody does that, I'll just have to find more judges. It's totally impractical. There's just too many courts to sue them in. Tenaciously and viciously. She meant what she said what she meant, and like Horton the elephant, she's loyal 100%. Paragraph 98 is reserved through 100. Reminder to the court, pro se leniency. Reminder to the court, Officer Lewis is in default and Jill DeCrenzer is in default. What is Glendora's reward? A fortiori, with greater force, and all the more, it is even more certain and necessary that Glendora be awarded $5,000 damages and $40 costs, and any further relief just and proper, and not to be censored from filing new cases in Yonkers City Court, and that SAROC, Savarino, Sulaco pay into this court $10,000 sanctions for wasting scant judicial resources. That's it, folks. Electronically, it was served on you, on A Chat with Glendora, and on the internet. But who's going to have the last word? God will have the last word, and it will be good. Herein Glendora incorporates all blessings stated in previous papers and in open court at trial, October the 25th. She incorporates all these blessings as if fully stated herein. And here's the Thanksgiving hymn. Do you know it? Shall we sing it together? We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He hastens and chastens his will to make known the wicked oppressing. Now cease from distressing. Sing praises to his name. He forgets not his own. Beside us to guide us, God with us joining, ordaining, maintaining his kingdom divine. And from the beginning the fight you are winning. The Lord was at our side, all glory be thine. We all do extol thee, the leader triumphant. Listen to this. And pray that thou still our defender will be. Let thy congregation escape tribulation. Thy name be ever praised. O Lord, set us free. And it goes with Bob Hope. I have something to tell you about that little costume. That's the SS Glendora that was on WRGB General Electric for 6 years. And in the mail this week came this letter from Oregon, from a man named Paul Martin. And he says, I remember you as a blast from the past, in that I faithfully watched your WRGB children's shows, the SS Glendora and later the Spaceship Show. I think I was around 6 or 7. My parents took me to Johnston's shoe store in the Mayfair Shopping Center in Glenville, and I met you face to face. Quite a bit changes in close to 50 years since my rearing in Scotia. I have since worked my way through college and now work in career as a music therapist at Oregon State Hospital Geriatric Treatment Program. I was inspired by and sang under Carl Stubing, who brought the Scotia Glenville Choraleers to perform at WRGB several times. In fact, they sang the Happy Birthday song used on the Freddie Freihofer show. Oh, Freddie Freihofer! During my many return visits to Scotia, I had chatted with Jim Fisk and Earl Pudney. I think Jim is still alive, but I doubt if Earl is still with us. By your website, it looks as if you are quite busy with legal, ethical, and intellectual endeavors. Schenectady is struggling to rise from the economic ashes once more. The Schenectady Gazette building has been razed and replaced. State Street is a phantom, with the exception of Proctor Theater, which has revived. I wish you well. I'm glad to have the opportunity to contact you. Sincerely, Paul Martin. Folks, a boy grown into a man, and he still has a spot in his heart for the SS Glendora. Thank you. Thank you. So I wrote him, My dear Paul Martin, God works in mysterious ways. how philosophic it is to hear from you. I told the kids that the SS Glendora was the ship, as I showed you with the Bob Hope picture. And I told them that the SS stood for steamship. And they said, no, it stands for stupid show. Glendora says, you must come back to Schenectady, and we'll go up and down the main street, living again its glory, General Electric, Steinmetz house, and the Schmohawk River. And we will have lunch together and drive past the locomotive plant. When are you coming? Thank you for assuaging the ruffled onslaughts of the geriatrics. Are you able to reach them beyond the superficial and invoke their oneness with God? Your namesake, the Apostle Paul, said, I have learned, this is in Philippians 4, I have learned, 4:4, I have learned in whatever state I am, wrote the Apostle Paul, I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. And the little girl says, does that include the state of New York? How did you find a chat with Glendora? Lost in the billions of sites on the internet. Tell me with minutiae. It is now on www.youtube.com/a chat with Glendora, one word. Tell me if you like it. If you don't, let's keep it our little secret. So when are you coming to lunch? Instantly, please call me at 518-758-9448 and give me your telephone number. I cannot articulate how exuberant I am to hear from one of my beloveds of 1956 to 1962, Anno Domini. There is too much to exchange by script. Let us go to Oro, reminiscing. Ghent is 33 miles southeast of Scotia. Maybe 38. Amen. Full speed ahead. With ecstasy and wonder of our great God, Glendora. The man went into the haberdashery and he said to the owner, may I please try on that navy blue suit in the window? And the owner says, no, you'll have to use the dressing room. The traveler said to the doorman at the hotel, be careful of that box. It has a 10-foot snake in it. And the doorman said, I didn't know the snakes had feet. Marilyn says she has teeth like stars. They come out at night. Peter says he hasn't slept for days. Why? Because I sleep nights. Here's a letter. Sirs, I am answering your ad in the church magazine for an organist and choir master, male or female. I have been both for 20 years. What did the judge say to the dentist? Do you swear to pull the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth? Billy said to his little buddy, they're not going to grow bananas any longer. Why not? They're long enough already. Mother and father riding along in the car in the front seat. He said, how did we get a flat tire? And the boy in the back seat said, it was a fork in the road back there. Do you see that man over there? Yeah. Well, I owe more to him than anybody else in the world. Well, who is he? My landlord. You remind me of Dan Smith. I am not a thing like Dan Smith. Oh, yes, you are. You both owe me $10. This is Glendora, Cheerful Look at Life. Brought to you by... You remember David Hartman on Good Morning America? Back in 1975, 76. I remember how jubilant the people were at ABC. It was the first time that they beat the Today Show. Anyway, one day David Hartman said, "We'll be right back following this announcement from General Fools." David lived in Scarsdale. I used to see him a lot. Hey folks, I think you should join Tenants and Neighbors if you are a tenant in any of the 5 boroughs of New York City, or if you're in Westchester or Rockland. And also maybe up here in Albany. Tenants and Neighbors is an organization that helps you fight avaricious landlords. And they have a good program there. Every time they write me, I send them $4, and then they write back and say thank you, and I send them $4 again. Benefits of membership. So it's for poor people. They go to Albany and do demonstrations, and they really have an effect. They say that we remember in November, and they say tenants vote. See, it's a thank you note. I'm all out of money right now, so I'll send them $4 first of the month. How's that? They said thank you for $4, so I'll send them $4. What else did I want to talk to? Isn't this an adorable card? This is from my niece. Isn't that lovely? Look at these. This is a great card. And it's orange. What else do we have to tell you? How are you? I'm going to interview Kevin Williams for you with a horrid saga of what's happening in the courts in Nassau County. And I'm going to interview Charles Clampa for you, who had another horrible experience with a hearing officer named Ramundi. And I'm going to bring you that full report. The Nassau County new DA was no help to Kevin Williams in getting relief from the corruption in the Nassau County courts. Every time you hear a gunshot here, I say protect the animals, protect the animals, protect the animals, protect the animals, and do something to that person to make that person never want to murder again. Carnicom, that's his name, Carnicom, and he has a website, www.carnicom.com, and he has done a documentary on this poison that is deliberately exuded from jet planes. You know, this is not a contrail, it's a chemtrail, and it has poison in it, and if you haven't been feeling well lately, this very well could be the cause. So I've incorporated that. He wants people to do that in a chat with Glendora to teach you about why you haven't seen the blue sky very often. And what you see is a dirty white haze full of poison. And the United States government covers it up. Carnicom exposes it, and Glendora sues them. So I hope that that ends up on your TV station. Anything else here that came in the mail to share with you? Esther Barron, the judge ruled in her favor that she can go home. She has a psychiatrist named Klasmer who, from everything I can see, just works evil against her. But anyway, we won the guardianship case. Ooh, rugged cross. I think we've done very well here. I'm still opposed to the violation of the Fourth Amendment in the courts. When you go into the courts, these hoods with magnetometers and great big bars of whatever go up and down your body. They take things out of your purse. They take things out of the briefcases, out of your boxes that you're carrying. This is illegal search and seizure. And I think I'm getting ready to sue these people. You've gone too far, Office of Court Administration. You've gone way too far. And you want us to fill out this form, commitment to quality service. What are you trying to do? Covering up your flaunting of the constitutions, not only the state of New York, but the federal Constitution. You want quality service? You call that, when you violate the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure? So we're heading your way. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Your telephone calls are very, very good. Your causes of action are sound. There's no question about it. The courts are no good. There's no question about it. The United States has been kidnapped by a bunch of gangsters. No question about it at all. The Constitution is being violated every minute. Your rights are being violated every minute. Okay, folks. Well, we're going to stand up to them. They're not going to get away with it. They left out my favorite verse to that song. Perfect submission, perfect delight. I am my Savior, am happy and blessed, watching and waiting, looking above, filled with His goodness, lost in His love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. It's Thanksgiving. I am thankful for you. Remember 3 things for me, will you please? Spend your alone time with God the first thing in the morning. The first thing in the morning, spend your alone time with God. God has a treasure for you of wealth, of success, of harmony, of attainment, of peace, of love, of joy, of appreciation, of applause. It's all out there in a little box for you somewhere. And you can't find it because it takes time to look for it, and you're not taking that time. That's 1. 2, every 15 minutes, rejoice about something. People celebrate Thanksgiving once a year. You celebrate it every 15 minutes. Rejoice about something every 15 minutes. And in between, you have pure thoughts. In between, you have pure thoughts. Let's see what the Glendora Happy Book can give you for a pure thought. Oh, this is a long one. It's about resonance. If you push the damper pedal down on a piano and you sing a note and you stop singing and you listen, a string of the piano reproduces the note that you sang. That's resonance. The note sung made the air vibrate at the natural frequency of that piano string. The air is vibrating at the natural frequency of the string made the string vibrate with an amplitude large enough to be detected. Given is an object A, given is another object B. B has a natural frequency. You have a natural frequency. A starts to vibrate at your natural frequency, and this causes B to start vibrating. And all of the above statements have to do with the phenomenon of resonance. Now apply resonance to the thinking. Release the damper pedal of the thinking, and what is released? Released are selfishness, error, unloving thinking, fear, lack, doubt, worry, and discord. And now what happens? The thoughts in the mind have natural frequencies. The thoughts of the source, God, have various frequencies. And when the damper pedal of the mind is released, the thoughts in the mind can respond to the frequencies of thoughts in God. Response and resonance occurs, and the thoughts of the mind begin to vibrate with a much larger amplitude, and this larger amplitude makes the thoughts that much more powerful, powerful enough to be detected by other minds. Hence, the thoughts are able to cause action. You believe that. That's why prayer works. That's why prayer works. When you send pulses of love and healing and wholeness and recovery and comfort and success to people, like a laser beam, those thoughts bring action. We love you. We want you to make it. Keep the courage flaming.